Hello everyone, my name is Hauzaan Almayzhar and I'm from University of Groningen, and today I will be presenting about my thesis on how can circular economy impact a country's level of wealth. Over the last decade, the concept of circular economy has been gaining attention in the economic world. Circular economy emphasizes on turning the conventional way of economy into something that is more circular, or commonly known as a closed loop cycle. In linear economy principles, the life cycle of a product is based on taking from natural resources, making the goods itself, and then disposing of it when the product has come to its end in the life cycle. This continuous cycle has brought a dilemma within the society. As more people exist on Earth, the amount of natural resources that is needed will also increase. The increasing needs of resources surely does not go hand in hand with how nature reproduces itself. Hence, it results in environmental pollution, which then lead to resource scarcity. The introduction of circular economy in society helped to shed a light on the case of how the economy can go hand in hand with nature. In the present time, circular economy has shown that it brings positive impact in economic growth. Circular economy focuses on how to reuse and regeneration of materials and products, also focusing on continuation of production in a sustainable way. Circular economy principles have been recognized as a solution to the current dilemma within resources and production. Circular economy is also known to be a more sustainable way to achieve a good economic performance. With this current knowledge regarding the way of circular economy, a few countries have been trying to implement and develop their economy around the principles of circular economy itself. Circular economy can be considered as a new concept and still too obscure and hard to implement, which led to rising discussion on whether circular economy can be truly implemented and still become beneficial for businesses while also having a positive impact on the environment. Some researchers argue that circular economy has a relationship with a growing economy in the country, whereas others found that the impact of circular economy on economic, social, environment level are still lacking evidence. Where some researchers also add that circular economy trades-off that is linked with resource scarcity and climate change are still insufficient. Despite the controversies that circular economy has sparked, circular economy is still the only best alternative for economic development to go hand in hand with the environment. What circular economy proposes surely will benefit society in a larger picture. By promoting reusing, reducing, and recycling products, will help minimize the negative impact of economic activities towards the environment. Nevertheless, the empirical evidence on circular economy implementation is still insufficient, which then become the main motivation for this research is to address the gaps by providing empirical evidence on how circular economy contributes to a country's economic wealth within the European Union. The research for this study is what is the impact of circular economy implementation towards a country's wealth in the EU 27 countries? The question that has been stated will allow the study to explore the practices of circular economy and how they contribute to a country's wealth by promoting economic growth. This study will also examine the influence of circular economy practices on a country's wealth by examining the effect of resource productivity, circular material rate use, and also recycling rate of municipal waste. Recycling is considered to be one of the main actions of circular economy itself. From the literature, it is found that recycling rate of municipal waste will contribute positively towards the growth of a country's GDP per capita. And recycling establishment can generate a 5.5 billion in tax revenues according to the United States of America Environmental Protection Agency in 2023. From the literature, it is found that it will shape the following hypothesis. The first hypothesis is recycling rate of municipality waste can contribute positively to the country's GDP per capita. The second variable is circular material use rate and how can it affect the country's wealth. Circular material use can be described as utilizing resources through a material retention that can be achieved by an effective recycling process. Also, optimizing the materials and products through their life cycle. A study that is conducted in order to show the impact of circular material use rate showing the growing GDP of a country. Circular material use rate also contributes to a country GDP significantly, and from the literature that is mentioned, it motivates the study to find whether circular material use will have a positive impact on economic wealth respective countries, which then the hypothesis can be developed. Circular material use rate contributes positively to countries' GDP per capita is the second hypothesis for this study. The last variable in the last hypothesis is resource productivity and how can it affect the country's wealth. Resources productivity is an essential indicator of circular economy. Resources productivity can be defined as a ratio of a country's GDP towards their domestic consumption. These indicators also show on how efficient a country is using their resources to produce goods and services. Resources productivity in a circular economy could bring a positive effect towards the GDP per capita growth and could lead to a higher GDP per capita. Both studies are conducted in Southeast Asia as well as in Europe. From the literature above, it can be concluded that resource productivity could positively influence the GDP of a country, hence impacting the country's level of wealth. Now, the last hypothesis can be developed from the literature is that resource productivity contributes positively to country's GDP per capita. From the literature, it can the literature can be represented by the following conceptual model. As we can see, both of the hypotheses, both the three of the hypotheses will have a positive impact on the country's wealth. The methodologies used by this thesis is using the quantitative analysis by conducting a multivariate regression on panel data that is collected from the Eurostat. The data contains 27 EU member countries spanning from 2012 up to 2020. The independent variables for this study is, is resource productivity, circular material use rate, and recycling rate of municipal waste, where the dependent variables is the country's wealth indicator, which this thesis used the GDP per capita. Now, this table represents the definition of the data variables, the data and the variables, and all of the data are extracted from Eurostat. This study used the variable of GDP, which represent the GDP per capita of a country. This variable is the dependent variable of the study. Now, the three independent variables are the indicators of circular economy. The first one being the RMW, it represents the recycling rate of municipal waste. The second one is CMU, is the circular material use rate. And the last one is resource productivity, which represent by variable RP. The other variable here are used to control the result of the linear relationship between the dependent variable and the independent variable. Now, to fulfill the assumption of linear regressions, I employ four diagnostic tests. The first one is multicollinearity. To check whether there is an existence of multicollinearity by using VIF method by the following the threshold of VIF under 10. In this thesis, I declare that there are no multicollinearity in the dataset. The second test is heteroscedasticity. The null hypothesis is rejected since the p-value is less than the selected significance level by using alpha of 0.05. This result implies that there is no indication of heteroscedasticity in the data. The third assumption and test they use is linearity. By producing scatter plots of dependent variables and each one of independent variables, it is proven that the relationship between the dependent and independent is linear, which is symbolized by the straight line. From the result, it also can be concluded that there are linear relationship between the variables. The last assumptions and task that is employed in this thesis is Hausman test, examining Hausman's test result where the p-value is less than the selected significance alpha. In this study, the alpha is used is 0.05, leads one to reject the null hypothesis. Fixed effects estimators are therefore appropriate for all statistical models. The result of this thesis is the, the first hypothesis of recycling rate in municipal waste is accepted. It is found that it has a positive impact to a country's wealth. While the second, whereas the second hypothesis result shows an insignificant result. It is proven that circular material uses rate does not have any significant effect on country's wealth. And the last hypothesis regarding resource productivity in a country's wealth is accepted. It shows that resource productivity have a positive impact to a country's wealth. Now, the statistical equation of this linear function it is shown in the presentation, and the result is can be seen below the equation. It can be it can be concluded that every increase in 1 unit of recycling rate of municipality waste will bring a positive impact of 0.015 to the GDP per capita, where resource productivity and every 1 unit increase in resource productivity will increase a 0.332 in the GDP per capita. Now, to conclude this presentation and this thesis, the impact of circular economy implementation has shown a mixed evidence. It suggests that a form of circular economy activities could impact a country's wealth. The activities include recycling rate and resource productivity, whereas circular material use does not contribute directly to country's wealth. Recycling rate has shown to have a positive contribution to the overall country's wealth by generating and creating a new job opportunities as well as contributing from the tax revenue that is generated from recycling establishment. The impact of circular material use on the country's wealth it found that it does not have a direct impact on the country's wealth level itself, where the last hypothesis on resource productivity has shown to have a positive contribution to a country's wealth by maximizing their resources and increasing their efficiency. So, that's all for my presentation today. I hope you guys enjoy my presentation, and I hope you guys have a very nice day. Thank you.